I'm joined in the studio here by Tanya Ivanova-Sullivan, who is an associate professor of Russian at UNM. Jose Luis Ayala is a UNM student who will graduate soon with a double major in international studies and languages. Irina Vasilyeva-Meyer is a member of the Russian faculty at UNM. And Brittany Chacon is a UNM student in her second year of studying Russian. Thank you all for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When Russia comes up in the news lately, it is always bad. Aside from being suspected of meddling in the U.S. election just in the past 2 weeks, we have heard Russia accused of attempting to recruit spies from President Trump's aides, murdering another journalist critical of Putin, and helping Syria cover up a sarin gas attack. That's bad. It looks bad. We want to get some perspective from you all about Russian and American relations here in Albuquerque. Irina, along with teaching, you are also an immigrant from Russia. Is this suspicion and animosity on the national level filtering down to you? Do you feel like the attitude about Russians in America has changed over the past year?
I think so, yes. I feel that the tension is growing more and more, but I think that's one of the main reasons why I decided to teach Russian in the United States, is to change this attitude towards the Russian language and Russian culture and Russian people in this country. And this is our priority, to portray Russian and Russian culture as not just, a Cold War language, because it's not a Cold War language anymore. It's a global language. And our students are very much interested in developing ties in business or in culture with Russia, not only in the political side of it.
So Tanya, is this climate hampering your efforts to get students interested in learning Russian?
I would say just the opposite. We are already seeing an increased interest towards our program due to the interesting political situation in the country. And we're trying to seize the moment and let our current and future students know that we are going to provide them, we're going to equip them with solid foundation in the Russian language, culture, literature, knowledge about society, so they can pursue their dreams in whatever career path they want to take. So yes, the political situation in a way is helping us recruit more students in a strange way, but it's our job to tell students and to let them know that, look, we are an academic program. We are not going to make it political. And if you want to understand Russia better, if you want to help the United States government or other organizations to understand Russian better, then you have to pursue a Russian major.
So that's what you're doing, Jose Luis.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you decide to study Russian?
It was kind of just an arbitrary decision on my part. I was studying Arabic at the University of New Mexico, and I decided to take a Russian course. I just wanted another language, and I just took it and started running with it. Russian came really easy to me, and haven't looked back since. It's been a great language.
Brittany, what has been your experience studying the Russian language here at UNM?
So I wasn't planning on studying Russian really. It was a last minute decision 2 years ago. I was in between majors, but it actually ended up being a great experience, and I decided first that I was maybe minor in it, and then took another semester, and I thought, well, maybe this is something I can major in, and I've had a really good time taking the different language classes and culture classes.
It's a kind of a challenge, isn't it, to take Russian? It's not an easy language.
It is not, no, but worth it.
What are some common misconceptions that you all are hearing about Russia right now?
Well, it was interesting that the Albuquerque Journal ran a article on the Russian visit that we had a couple of years ago from the Institute of the Russian Language in Moscow, which was a very academic visit, and the goal was to establish ties with that institute and to start testing students in Russian and prepare them for Russian tests in the Russian language. But apparently some people in the community are a little concerned about, Russia right now in political light, right? So they expressed concern that this visit could be potentially harmful for us. But I want to assure New Mexican citizens that this is not the case at all, that this is exactly the time to show New Mexico and the rest of the country that we are going to do whatever it takes to equip our students with the knowledge that they need. Because if the United States needs Russian specialists, how is that going to happen without solid academic knowledge and foundation? So this is what we're trying to achieve here.
What do your friends say when you tell them you're studying Russian? Brittany?
They're a little surprised. Most of my friends are studying Spanish, and that's what I had studied in high school, having grown up here. And so it's a culture that seems very foreign to a lot of people who have grown up here. So they're usually really interested and ask how it is, if it's really hard and whatnot.
Jose Luis, what do you tell them, your friends?
Yeah, it's again, they say it's very foreign. Like, why would you study Russian of all languages? Why not stick to Spanish? Completely master it. And the great thing about the programs at UNM is that they push study abroad exchanges. And when I was in Russia, and even the Russian people there will ask you, why are you studying Russian? But they're so happy that you've taken the extra step to learn their culture and to learn just a bit more about their language. And I think it just learning a language and taking that extra step just transcends those boundaries, and it creates more understanding between cultures.
If I may add, it's not exotic to study Russian in New Mexico anymore. Maybe it was exotic 20 years ago, but we're trying to promote this new awareness of Russian as a global language, a very important language on the world arena, not only because of the political situation and consequences, but because of its status as world language and world culture behind it. So.
Many of your students probably have some connection to Spanish. Maybe it's a heritage language for them. Do you have any students who have a personal connection to Russian?
Oh, absolutely, yes. We do have a lot of students who grew up in Russian-speaking families, or where one parent is Russian or both parents are Russian, and we actually have. Well, one of the events that we recently did is a Russian concert that was connected to that visit from the Pushkin Institute representatives. So what we did is we tried to bring the local Russian community into, on campus. And so we had a joint concert where we invited little children from the Russian school in Albuquerque to present with our students, who also did songs and performances and recited poetry. So that really exposed how many Russians we have in New Mexico.
Now I'll confess, I didn't know we had a Russian school.
It's a relatively new school, 3 years ago, and they're doing a great job maintaining Russian as a heritage language in the United States, and all the children love that. And our students love the fact that they were able to mingle and perform together with Russian children. So.
And we're also hoping that those children will grow up and join our
department. Right.
You're recruiting at an early
We
age.
are recruiting, yes.
So students like Jose Luis and Brittany, who are in their early 20s, missed the Cold War completely. They're not familiar, they didn't see it on TV, they did not watch the wall fall or any of this. You're not just teaching the language, but you sort of have to catch these students up on why their parents or grandparents might think this is a little weird. How do you talk about history and current events in the classroom? If you do, how do you do that?
We do talk about the current events, absolutely. And as I mentioned earlier, we try to not politicize the situation too much. We try to not take sides, but stay objective, and just direct students to various sources of information that they can, read and decide for themselves. What is happening? Why is it happening? What are the reasons for that?
And one of the things that we do is, so we teach courses with a twist, if you can say that. So one of the courses that I teach is called Culture of Russian Terrorism. So instead of teaching it from a kind of politicized perspective, we'll look at the intellectual or philosophical, cultural roots of Russian terrorism and terrorism around the world. So we try to give a kind of completely different perspective than what students hear on TV all the time.
Right.
Why is this happening?
Exactly.
Why are they motivated to do this? Where is this coming from?
Exactly.
And reading actually the works of Russian terrorists, 19th century Russian terrorists, just to see what is it that motivated them in their own words.
Not just modern actors, but folks from the 1800s.
Absolutely. We start with the 19th century and go up to the present day.
Jose Luis, you're getting ready to graduate. What are you going to do with your degrees when you get out of here?
So I've been fortunate enough to kind of line up a job in the United States government, and it's very Russian centered. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Can you talk to us about what it's going to be?
Well, it's going to be in State Department. It's going to be, it has to do with the kind of analyzing issues with Russia and environmental issues. And it's going to be very interesting. I'm really excited. I'm going to jump in with both feet. And, I have just the UNM program here for teaching me the Russian, giving me those fundamentals to be able to further national security and to help my country, to give back a little bit.
Brittany, what's next for you in your studies?
This summer I'm going to Russia. I'm going to Ryazan. It's about 3 hours south of Moscow, and so hoping to improve my language skills while I'm there, and I'm also going to be teaching English to teens and adults.
Are you anxious about it?
A little bit, yes. I'm very nervous, but I'm hoping that my Russian will improve a lot, and I'll come back and share my experiences with my classmates. And
Well, everyone who's ever been abroad to study language will say you will improve a ton.
yeah, they will.
Thank you all so much for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.